I would like to welcome you in Parliament action on, uh, and we would like to invite you, for all of you already here, to take your seat. And would like to remind you that to do registration before you come to the seat. And for you who need interpretation tools, we provide the tools in the FOA area. Once again, for you who need interpretation tools, you may acquire the tools from the committee, or you may take it by yourself to at the FOA area. Thank you very much. violence against women in politics as part of the 16 days campaign for violence against women. So we would like to invite all of you to take your seat and please to follow the health protocol and to put your phone to mute. Once again, would like to ask you to mute your phone because we will start our event soon. Thank you very much. We are going to start our event. Please be seated. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I think we are still in reunion situation because it's been a long time we don't meet offline. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Parliament Action or Parliament Act on Violence Against Women in Politics. Thank you very much. This morning event is part of a 16 days campaign against violence against women, and we would like to thank to all of you who give your time to be here. Thank you for all DPR RI members who already be here, all the DPD in Republic of Indonesia already been here, and the representative of election, and also welcome to all the activists and gender equivalence fight activists, and also NGO from politics and election, and also women empowerment, and also the youth participation, all the disability organization, and also I would like to greet all the development partner and also the excellencies already be with us today, and also we would like to greet all the representatives of our neighboring countries and the host of this event from Caucus Perempuan of Parliament Republik Indonesia. Give a round of applause. And also this event is collaborate with UN Women and WFD. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, who are already here with us today, offline and also online in Nusantara 2 building, DPR MPR complex. And ladies and gentlemen, this event is part of the 16 days campaign violence against women, which is a global campaign in all over the countries in the world since 25th November to this is the International Day for Violence Against Women until 10th of December, which is a Human Rights Day for the World Human Rights Day. And you are moment today with Westminster Foundation for Democracy or WFD is collaborating with Caucus Perempuan Parlemen Republik Indonesia. Please give them a round of applause or KPP Republik Indonesia. This morning they have a discussion forum on violence against women in politics with the shareholders like all the parliament members and election commission, election supervisors and representative of the government, and for gender equality, NGO who works with on election and women, politics, and also development partners. First of all, we would like to remind you who with us in Zoom meeting to follow this regulation during the event for you to open your cam and also to mute your mic. If there is something that you would like to ask during the discussion session, you may ask your question by writing on the Q&A column under your screen. Ladies and gentlemen, to start our event this morning and also to get our spirit for this campaign for violence against women, let us sing our national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Please rise. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, next we are going to follow the opening remarks that will be represented by Indonesia Country Representative and liaison to Asian UN Women. Please give us a round of applause for Mr. Jamshed M. Kazi. Good morning. Yang terhormat Ibu Diah Pitaloka, Ketua dari Caucus Perempuan Parlemen Republik Indonesia, yang terhormat anggota parlemen dan Ketua Partai, Bapak Agus Wijayanto, dan Wakil dari Westminster Foundation untuk Demokrasi Indonesia, perwakilan dari berbagai kementerian dan lembaga pemerintahan, dan yang terhormat Duta Besar Jerman, terima kasih sudah hadir, dan perwakilan dari duta besar lainnya, para pembicara, moderator, dan para tamu, dan juga rekan-rekan saya yang terhormat. Welcome on this morning event as the Parliament Act Against Women Violence in Politics. Adalah sebuah kehormatan bagi saya untuk membuka acara hari ini sebagai bagian dari perayaan kampanye 16 hari anti kekerasan terhadap perempuan. Pada 25 November setiap tahun PBB melaksanakan kampanye 16 hari yang dikenal juga dengan sebagai bersatu melawan kekerasan terhadap perempuan, untuk menaikkan kesadaran masyarakat dan meningkatkan kemauan politik untuk menghentikan segala bentuk kekerasan terhadap perempuan dan anak perempuan di seluruh dunia. Selama beberapa tahun belakangan, masalah kekerasan terhadap perempuan dan anak mendapatkan perhatian yang luar biasa di seluruh dunia dan juga di Indonesia. Dengan diloloskannya undang-undang anti kekerasan perempuan, Indonesia memperjelas bahwa negara ini tidak mentoleransi dan menganggap biasa kekerasan seksual, dan ini tidak akan mungkin bisa terlaksana tanpa dukungan dari pimpinan Indonesia, anggota parlemen, dan juga banyak organisasi perempuan dan LSM. Dalam beberapa tahun terakhir, kita sudah melihat banyak aktivitas dan kampanye secara online maupun offline yang dipimpin oleh para mahasiswa, LSM, sektor swasta, media, dan juga berbagai pihak di seluruh negeri. Misalnya, pekerja film in Indonesia, equal participation. However, when women enter the public sphere, which is predominantly by male domain, is often provoke resistance and backlash from those who prefer to see women in their traditional role that confines them to the domestic space. Violence against women in politics exists in various forms. It can be hate speech, online cyberbullying, physical abuse, sexual harassment, intimidation, discrimination, and even death threats.
In 2016, the Interparliamentary Union, or RPO, conducted a study on women parliamentary across the globe. The study revealed the troubling prevalence of gender-based violence against parliamentarians from 5 regions across the world, including in Asia and the Pacific. According to this study, 81% of women parliamentarians have reported psychological violence from all countries, and 44% of those surveyed reported that they have received threats of death, rape, beatings, or abduction during their parliamentary term. Violence against women in politics is more widespread and under-recognized than we realize. It is a violation of human rights and women's from different rights. It is also a deterrent to women from political participation, be it voting, running for office, or remained elected in office. Physical, sexual, and psychological violence against women members of parliaments is undermining democracy and our collective efforts to end gender and equality. Excellencies, honorables, and peace distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen, today's events bring us all together to double our efforts against violence-based violence for more concrete actions and less talk. We call upon party leaders, leaders of elected bodies, government officials, social society partners, businesses, academia, and media to play their part to show solidarity with women's rights, movements, and activism. There's a lot to be done, and sometimes it's hard to know exactly where to start. First, we need to remove the persisting barriers to women in political leadership and participation, including also challenging the gender stereotype which continue to objectify or sexualize women and imply that they are less legitimate and capable candidates than men. Second, we need more quality data, research and analysis on the current situation and trends, as the first step towards addressing the problem is to acknowledge and understand the problem. Third, we need to build stronger political will, be it a declared commitment, which is to be signed soon, or zero tolerance policies for violence, to establish effective protection measures for women candidates. And finally, we need more men to walk alongside women as allies and enablers to support breaking the glass ceiling that hinder women's participation and to ensure that all spaces, be it the decision-making process, are free from violence against women in politics. I hope the declaration to be signed today will galvanize the public attention and add to the growing call for action to stop violence against women in politics in Indonesia. With the next general election only 14 months away, my invitation is for all organizations and institutions to act together now, so putting attention to the efforts that threatens women's life and do all we can to eradicate all the fulfillment of women's rights. UN Women firmly believe that everyone can make difference in fighting against women and violence against women and girls to no social norms and also equal-based and peaceful society. Together with our partners, we remain committed to being at the forefront of ending violence against women and girls, from advocating from legal transformation to providing comprehensive services to survivors. Only together, we can achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, specifically its targets of preventing and ending violence against women and girls. Terima kasih banyak. Thank you, Mr. Jamshed M. Kazi, for the speech, for the warm speech that will move us to continue support the campaign on 16 days of anti-violence against women. Ladies and gentlemen, before together we declare that the declaration must be agreed jointly and for us to sign it, I would like to ask now the someone who will provide the speech and also sign the Indonesian Women Parliamentary Caucus, Mrs. Dia Pitaloka. Boleh?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be with all of us. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. Honorable all of my colleagues from DPR RI. There are 9 fractions that will declare this all women and men. Let me make it clear. And Madam Ina Lepo, Ambassador of Germany for Indonesia, thank you for being here, Ibu. Mr. Stuart Saul, First Secretary from Canadian Embassy, Honorable Mrs. Vilma Louise Clemention from Denmark Embassy, Mr. Nguyen Tuoc Van from Asian Interparliamentary Assembly from IPA, Mr. Jamshid Kanzi, Indonesia Country Representative and Liaison to Asian and UN Women, Mr. Agus Wijayanto as Country Representative from Westminster Foundation for Democracy, Ibu Rahayu Saraswati as the Presidium of KPPI, Ibu Olivia Salampesi as the Commissioner from Komnas Perempuan, Ibu Ade Eri Dani, representative of INFIT, and Bapak Sugianto Arif Santoso as the representative of Indonesia for Humanity. Thank you for your presence in this event. Last month, KPPRI collaborate with UN Women have an event. We always have a serious discussion on women representative in politics. And then UN mentioned about 16 days campaign to fight violence, stop violence. And at that time, I say that then we have to make it in DPR. So we opened the door for that action. And politics is a place that until today, for many women, is quite challenging. So if we thought that, is it true that there are many women politicians face abuse, or is it true that this politic room is full with violence? Then I thought, what are the form of violence? Not only physical, right? But almost all women politicians, if we often have a chat with them, they have experience of being looked down. Most of the time, we are considered not available to be in that position, or being a question of the capability. So I think it's always become challenging for us women in politics to show our capability, even though there are many of us women who show that we are able. Now, aside from the stereotyping, we also face stereotyping that women is not proper to be a leader, or they cannot control their emotion. I think this is the things that actually is not appropriate if in this momentum that we still have that kind of perspective or stereotyping or discrimination against women, that we see that as normal, or other form of violence, for example, of sexual abuse or physical violence. But today, of course, we want to say that our democracy is substantially focused on dignity and honored all the participants in it, including women and men. And in the midst of a democracy party, of course, we don't want there to have unvoiced those who have violence and feel alone in the crowd. So today, Indonesian Parliament, in an action in anti violence against women, we want to say that politics is a safe place and also non-discriminative, comfortable place and friendly for women participation in it. And it is very important for us to say this and very important for us to declare that we say no to any form of violence and also in power and also in any election form so that this value will later become a value that live in our democracy. We have to focus on this. This is a very substantive, non-discriminative, non-violence, and we talk about dignity to respect other people. And sometimes we look down on these kind of things. This value that actually very substantial in democracy. We are too busy with something that in competition that more and more far from the value that become our democracy philosophy. And today, aside from offline, we also have online participation. And this declaration later will start from this room in DPR, not just receive information that the chairman of DPR will sign digitally this declaration to say no against violence against women in politics. And we hope that this declaration will be distributed online to open room to those who would like to declare that they say no against to all violence against women and also men in politics. It becomes an education process to promote value to community, to build awareness, and I'm sure our presence this morning to declare that we say no to all violence against women in politics, and we want clear and clean and free from violence election. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Please stay on the stage because we are going to follow on with one most important event of today, which is the signing of declaration as commitment to stop violence against women in politics. And for us, we would like to invite also the representative of all fractions. First from PDI Perjuangan, Mr. Putra Nababan. Representative of fraction of Golkar, Ibu Putri Naneta Komarudin. Representative of fraksi Gerindra, Ibu Martina. The representative of PKB fraction, Mr. Fatan Subhi. Representative of Demokrat fraction, Ibu Nasmi Indaryani. Representative of Partai Nasdem, Ibu Sri Wahyuni. Representation of PKS, Ibu Nevi Zuairina. Fraction PAN fraction, Ibu Intan Fauzi. Fraksi PP, Ibu Wartia, and from DPD, Ibu Silviana Murni. And also, we would like to invite to come to the stage the Secretary General of KPPI, Ibu Nunu Nurhamida, to join us on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, let us witness that but before the signing, we are going to read the declaration of Parliament for eradication of violence against women in election. That will be read by Ibu Silviana Murni. Time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the Parliamentary Declaration for the eradication of violence against women in general elections. We, the members of the House of Representatives of Republic of Indonesia and the Regional House of Representatives of Indonesia, are here gathering in this public discussion parliamentary actions against violence on women in general election to encourage women's participation and equal access in the leadership position in politics and decision making. We are really deny the threats against gender-based violence and threats that prevent women to use their equal rights in politics. We are against fighting all kinds of actions against women in online domains or online and also offline, particularly during the general election and regional general elections. We ask and demand all the political institutions and the people to make sure the protection against women from all kinds of violence acts as the active citizen who participate actively in the general election in 2024. Jakarta, the 29th of November 2022. Declaration is made by the representative of factions, parties, PDI, Perjuangan, Golkar Party, Golkar faction, Gerindra factions, National Democrats, Nasdem factions, PKB factions, Democrat Party factions, PKS factions, PAN factions, and PPP or P3 factions, Indonesian DPD, and Indonesian Women Parliamentary Caucus, and all Indonesian women. Thank you. Peace be upon us all. Thank you. Peace be upon us all. The parliamentary declarations for the eradication of women's violence in the general election is done. Now, PDI Perjuangan faction representative kindly started by Mr. Nababan. And to be continued by the other factions. From Golkar faction, Ibu Ida Anita. Gerindra faction, Mrs. Martina. PKB faction, Mr. Fatan Suki. From Democrat faction, Mrs. Lastri Indrayani. From Nasdem Party faction, Mr. Sriwahini. PKS faction, Mrs. Neti Zuairina. PAN faction, Mrs. Intan Fauzi. P3 faction, Mrs. Watia. And representing the DPD of Indonesia, Mrs. Silviana Murni. And representing all Indonesian women, the Secretary General of Indonesian Women Parliamentary Caucus, Mrs. Lulu Nur Hamidah. And also representing all Indonesian women, the Chairman and Presidium of Indonesian Women Parliamentary Caucus, Mrs. Tia Pitaloka. Once again, here are the parliamentary declaration for the eradication of women's violence in the general election. Let's have joint photo pictures. Please hold there, and we're gonna have two sessions. After this, we're gonna have inauguration session. Let's mark and capture this historical moment. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Let's give a round of applause. Let's please return to your seat. And I would like to ask Mr. Dia Pitaloka to stay on the stage, and also representative from the management of the IWPC, Mrs. Dwi Pitya, and Komnas Perempuan, and representative of the institution and the IWPC representative, Mr. Hadi Jusmo, the representative of UN Women, Mr. Jamshed Kazi, the representative from the FWD, Mr. Wijayanto, WFD. Mr. Jamshed, you may stand on in the middle, and also the other factions next to you. Mr. Agus, you may also stand next to Mrs. Dia. Kindly stand in the middle next to Mrs. Dia Pitaloka. All the other factions representative, kindly be on the left and the right side of, and also the KPPI management, and also of the Komnas Perempuan and the KPRI from the civil society, UN Women, and WFT. Let's take a picture and capture this moment to mark that women's the Parliament's participation, and also to break the silence that the Parliament also wants to end the violence against women in politics. Together to inaugurate and to mark this, let's have a countdown. 3, 2, 1. And this marks our start of commitment to violence and violence for women in politics is official. Let's give a round of applause, and let's have another session of for photo. Yeah, we have two sessions. Well, they have started with the Wi-Fi, and so yeah, so let's start with the pictures. First session to be taken in the front. Well, seems like Miss Selfie cannot wait and made her own selfie. Okay, let's put ourselves together and arrange, and the others. Are we still waiting for others to join in the session? In this photo session from the Denmark Embassy, maybe? From the PKB factions representative? Mrs. Aipa. From Aipa, yeah. From Aipa. All members of the parliamentary members, and also from the regional factions, the Secretary General and Deputy Secretary General of AIPA. Well, maybe some of you can also join us here up in the stage. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Please make the way for those who wants to go to the stage. Okay, so let's start with the 5 fingers. Stop violence against women. Look at the camera. Parliamentary action. The 16th Days of Anti-Violence Against Women's campaign. Now it's time for selfie. Well, you can take your selfie. Please come forward. Now we use the photographers so everyone can be captured in the picture. Also join us with Mrs. Sister Willie. We need to face the stage. So everyone can also stand up, and wherever you are in your position, let's face towards the stage. So we So our friends from the media, please come to the stage and take the pictures from the stage. And everyone here, let's come and join us, and let's together join the parliamentary action, the 16 Days of Anti-Women's Violence campaign. Anti-violence. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please return to your seats. And as a real action, as a concrete action, the member of KPPRI ladies have contributed and donated and give their contribution in the booth in the back of the stage for all participants, the honorable guests, and also participant invitees can also contribute from the booth from Indonesian booth in the booth in the back. This is a public platform fund, which distribution will be given for the victims of women's and girls as the victims of the violence. You can participate by donating. Please go to the booth that we have provided in the back of the stage. In the back here. So, ladies and gentlemen, we still have another photo sessions. We have dedicated a photo booth for you in the back of this stage, so you can continue your photo session later on in the photo booth. Very well. Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like that you still have the very high spirit, and everybody is excited in supporting this parliamentary action, 16 days of anti-violence against women. So we're gonna have some quick entertainment just to make our days more spiritful and in supporting the parliamentary actions of 16 days of anti-violence against women. Let's hear the stand-up comedy from the comics and also the activists from women's rights. Let's hear and listen Sandia Makluf.
Good morning to all ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be with all of us. Thank you for the excellencies, ambassadors, and parliamentarians, Honorable Baba Jamsed from UN Women, and also the leader of WFD for the Caucus Parliament. I'm very nervous but also happy. Today, it feels like we closed the year with a clear head, with the fight of all the parliamentarians here. We have Ibu Dia Pitaloka, Ibu Rayu Saraswati, Ibu Lulu, all of you for the Women Parliament Coalition. After years of fighting, we have the law for the sexual abuse. I'm supposed to be funny, but why I want to cry? This is incredible. And today we have a declaration to fight for violence against women in politics. We end this year with a clear head. Please give a round of applause. Usually be a comedian. If you're not yet funny, then I always ask you to applause. Why I feel so touched, because it was mentioned before that if during close to the election there are people who said the SM structured, systematic and massive. Now this is structured, so I say if there is something that can be called structured, systematic and massive, this is discrimination against women. It's true. It's true. Why this fighting like this is so long? This fight is so long. We just want to say, just want to talk, not yet talk, we're just about to talk. And they will always say, please take care of your hijab. We're just about to talk. After we talk, I have this experience. I believe that all of you as the women leaders also feel in other form that I have experience. You are a Muslim woman. You stand around on the stage and do comedy. It's a shame. It's shameful. I will be happy to see you burn in hell. That is a comment from netizen. We also have something that more than that. That I say that please wait. If you see me burn in hell, the choice only two. Between you become the angel of hell, which is impossible, or you are also in hell with me. That's why be careful. Say everything that is good. The fight is not easy. Why until today there are 30% quota women in parliament cannot be achieved? Why? How can we achieve that? It is very difficult to negotiate that if it's not as strong as Lulu Budia Burahayu, then the negotiations will be very difficult. Women candidate in the election card, I remember in 2019, the women candidates, but you are actually number 25. Do you want to have that number? Yeah, and until I cannot see, of course, I want to choose which one that I want to elect. And I have this good intention that the woman is a number 25. So because the number is not long enough, it's a problem. The problem is very basic since we are small. I remember I have a daughter. When my daughter was born, she was born. The first command, my God, praise God, she's beautiful, but not have enough they say that the so because when you get married and you have to use the fake one, this they just got was born, not yet given name, not yet being preyed upon. They already have ordered makeup artists. Do you want the girl to go to school, higher education? Don't go to higher education. Then nobody will want you. Well, parents want that. The work field wants that. University would want that. DPR also. If it's if only you doesn't want me, it's okay. I don't have anything to lose. Praise God. Ladies and gentlemen, I was born in a community that was still very conservative in my village in Arab descendant in Pekalongan. Well, I already mentioned name. Sorry, excuse me, uh, because I come from Pekalongan. All the children in my village, all the girls, they got married in a very young age, around 17 years, sometimes 15, 16, 18. They don't go to higher education. I'm happy, but praise God, my parents really support my education. For one day, I become the parliament member, maybe. My parents very support my education. They said a girl have to be beautiful so you can get husband, but you are not that beautiful, so and we are not rich, so better you go to school as your last asset. The intelligence of women is okay. It's okay if they say like that, as long as I can go to school, I can go to college. When I go to college, for the first time I saw what we call this forum discussion is not inclusive like this. They separate between women and men. They give a veil. They put veil. The woman and men, they separate them and put veil. The woman must not sit on the at front, must not speak, must not ask question. They just have to listen. I think is this the origin of podcast? We just listen and we cannot talk. And then to start, I was not discouraged. I tried to pioneer the woman in career in politics is a pioneer, right? The leadership and all of that is a pioneer. I also did that. Start from student organization. I followed the organization. I joined that organization. There is an event. We made an event. My friend, the chairman, the guy said to me, "We have new member. I used to be beautiful, yeah. We have a new member. She's beautiful. Bring a glass for her." This is true. In student organization, in political organization, this she's beautiful. So to make her answer. You understand, right? We are the pioneer, become the leaders, and the leader of organization start from being an answer. The men they start from the head of unit. They it's very fast for them. 6 years more. Then I became the head of organization. Why? Because we start from serving the people there. And when we become the chairman of the organization, when become the head of the organization, there is my friend from other organization. They said that this was a male chairman organization. I'm going to talk to your organization. That's what he said. Yes, of course, you can talk to me. I am the head. No, I want to talk to the men. I don't want to have a bad thing because I look at women. Because woman is the source of sin that you have to cover and put it in the box. And I said, I am the chairman. If you want to be fast, then talk to me. So at last he agreed to speak with me, but he always looked at the ground. He did not want to look at my face. As I said to, and I told him, if you understand religion, if you understand religion, if you look down, if you understand the religion, my thumb is my aura. You, my thumb is something that you cannot see actually. If you look down and all the time look at my thumb, look at my face, because my face and my palm is allowed to be seen. It's extraordinary in the fight. No, no, and also I follow organization without my parents knew, because I was born and raised in a village, and they are still very conservative. The community is still very conservative in my village. The hope is women will get married soon without follow any organization or demonstration, all of that. They said that sometimes the things like this, they are being agreed by the people surround me who supposed to support me. Then they often ask, when they look at my face, they ask, "Are you from Arab?" I said yes. For if so, Arab women have to get married to Arab men. They always ask about marriage and married again. Let me tell you something. Whether it's Arab, Padang, Sundanese, or Javanese, or Minang, or America, they have to marry to the good people. Good people. Good. What kind of good people? The one that will not say that women have to white, tall, and willing to be poor. That's the problem. We have to be tall, white, clothed, but also willing to live a poor life. How come? This is the condition and my condition on the village where I grew up. And as until I start on in organization, I started by serving all the members, and I do it secretly from my family. At that time, my family called me. I was in a demonstration, and my parents called. I was following a demonstration, and they said, my friend said, your parents called. So I asked them to bring me one of my girlfriend who really good in take bring motorcycle, just only to take the call to go back to my room. The speed was 100 kilometer per hour by motorcycle. All prayer that I already learned from small, I pray all of them. The safety on the road, from the safety on the road, prayer for the course ayat to Yasin, and all the prayer to go to the toilet also, as long as I'm safe. After that, when I become the leader, Ibu Dia Pitaraka also mentioned that women face a lot of stereotype. There are many stereotypes. They said that women will not. It's impossible to be able to become the leader because they are too emotional. I become emotional to hear that. Yes, it's true that we are emotional. It's not proven. My experience, when my daughter fell ill, then the mother have to call the doctor, have to put all the medicine, anything that we can do, and the father, they got angry. They got very angry. Why this like this? Why you don't take care of the child and all of that? For example, the car stop. This is also a woman stereotype. Our car suddenly stop. The one who go out and kick the tire, who? Who did that first? This is not so because that's why we are happy. This is extraordinary. All the male participant support is he for she. They said is incredible. This is a challenge. This is very incredible. The challenge is incredible. There are many from all over point of view. I just want to hear from the parliament woman what they faced because I once performed and I went down and someone come to me. It's a woman. I thought women support women, right? But then this lady suddenly said, "You." It's the same with before. You are a woman, a Muslim. You go on the stage and you do comedy and you follow demonstration. It's such shameful. You are shameful. Are you really a Muslim? She asked me that. Not only to ask me to take care of my hijab. She asked me, "Are you really a Muslim?" As they say that I'm a woman activist with 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 cuts. I look at her eyes and I said, "Ma'am, I want to go home because my children wait for me. If you believe that woman must not speak, must not go on the stage, why then you ask, give me a question, then I have to talk, right? At the end of the day, I have to speak, right? Do you know that based on what you believe, I am allowed to do anything, whether to demonstration, to do comedy, we are allowed to do anything, and at the end of the day, my husband will take responsibility of it in heaven." That's what your religion said. The safe room, because it was mentioned in the opening remark, is very important. Safe space. We want to know how that woman can move forward so that the woman in parliament not only 30%, maybe 45 to 50%. Amen. Yes. It's possible. Yes, of course, it's possible. The safe space. Women can do activities in organization and in politics. Before I was in student organization, I went home very late. And when I want to take the public transportation, all the men, this is women live experience. The women live life experience to take the public transportation. For male, maybe they think that at least only the phone that will be taken away. But if I took public transportation, every time I went in, I think. So what is my strategy? If something happened, should I shout or I jump out from the public transportation? That's it. Everywhere I go, that's what I'm thinking. And then I calculate. Okay, if I jump out from the public transportation, this is the speed. Praise God, I was smart. I was beautiful and smart. My grade in physics is 90. So I calculate the speed and also my weight, and then if I fall down, which part of my body that will get hit? That's what in my mind or what's in women's mind. So that for that reason, if we want to be the leader or political leader, the fight is so long. And also, I also believe that all women parliament here also experience this. This is my last. It's incredible. So that's why our commitment to declare to say no to any form of violence against women in politics is very important. Because the problem is from basic, from the mindset until the things that really violence. We already fight this long. Start from to serve people, then become the representative of community. After you meet the journalist, what you said, how to balance between your work and family. Still we being asked that let's change. Let us change. Thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning and thank you.
Give a round of applause, Sadia Maluf. Yes, my sister Sakdia. Next time someone underestimated you, just introduce yourself, Sakdia Maruf. Put that underline to the Maruf, your last name. Well, yeah. Well, I think that's the vice president's daughter's last name, so people won't mess with you. So that was some kind of refreshment, not refreshment. It was something yeah, that you can enjoy in this event. And for those who have donated, thank you. And you can still make your donation. It's in the back. You can see it from here in the back, and that's where you can give your donation for the parliamentary action, the 16 days of anti-women, anti-violence against women campaigns. So for those who have already made the donation, thank you. But for the rest, and for you, ladies and gentlemen, who wants to participate, to donate for the humanity, for ICA. ICA is a public fund where its distribution of fund will be distributed mainly for the victims of women and girls victims of violence. Well, there's no discussion, but it's not merrier, so it's not fun without discussion. So as part of our discussion in the 16th Days of Anti-Violence Against Women's campaign, we'll have a panel discussion to create a safe space for women in politics. The discussion will be interesting and, of course, with very competent speakers who will share with us their experience. And for that, I would like to invite all the honorable speakers who will share with us. First, the Member of Parliament from the FKB factions and also the Indonesian Parliament, and the Secretary General of Indonesian Women Parliamentary Caucus. Let's give a round of applause to Mrs. Lulu Nur Hamidah. And also joining with her are the other second speaker, the parliamentary candidates from the National Democratic Party. Let's go, give a round of applause, Mrs. Anggia Sari Puji Ariati. Hello, good morning. Well, thank you. And our third speaker, she is the commissioners of the Komnas Perempuan, the National Commissioner for Anti-Violence Against Women, Mrs. Olivia Khadijah Salampesi. So there's one man in between all this woman, the head of legislation department, National Democratic Faction, a member of the leadership of National Democrat Leadership Party. Let's give a round of applause. Let's welcome Mr. Willy Aditya. And last but not least, to host and also lead the discussion this morning, I would like to ask our moderator, the member of Gerindra Party and the member of the Presidium of Indonesian Women Parliamentary Caucus. Let's welcome Mrs. Rahayu Saraswati. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to now hand over to the moderator. Thank you. Peace be upon us all. Assalamualaikum. Shalom. Om Swastiastu. Greetings to all of us. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, honorable speakers in the front. Well, I will just cut it short, and all honorable speakers and everybody who have attended the meeting. Now I would like to say everyone also in Zoom, can you see me? Everything's okay? Great. Let's give a round of applause, and also but our participant who also joined in Zoom. That means that they're really excited and also joined us in the Zoom. You know that attending a meeting virtually usually takes an extra effort. So they need to give their extra commitment. The people don't see them, but they want to see and participate in the meeting. So that's like more than the commitment that you can give. My name is Saraswati Jaya Hadikusumo. This is not the first time. This is the first time. I don't think this is the first time. Oh, I think so. This is the second time I become the moderator in this parliamentary bidding. This is because my colleague request, Mrs. Dia Pitaloka's request. Yeah, yeah, we want to find out more in what's on your view on this matter. And if you heard earlier, our discussion, the theme is that hopefully I can make it this more relaxed. You know, in this building, everything looks like rigid, and apologize if the moderator is bit boyish in the approach. So we just make it relaxed without yeah, reducing any respect to you. So to all of the participants. So our topic today, I think this is not a new topic for us. You know, the 16 days of anti-violence against women days. So now we want to take a more in a short, smaller context in the politics. Honestly, when I and Dia, when this law was become still the bill, it was the bill of this violence against women's bill, and then there were a lot of changes. So at that time, the issue was very less discussed, and the discussion normally we had to approach different parties here, you know, the chairmen, the deputy chairmen, and also the civil societies. So, but everyone we approach and I want you to give your opinion. 3 minutes, talking about women's violence on women in politics. We can start from the end. Now the first speaker, Mr. Yeah, you may take one of the mic there.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be with all of us. I am from Komnas Perempuan, Yofias Nampesi, as the chairman. I am very happy that in this 16 days campaign, we talk about violence against women in politics. First, maybe in the first 3 minutes, we need to understand what is violence against women in politics. That all this while is there, but we don't see it. But it's real. Then how we can prevent this violence against women in politics, and then how we can break the silence, because women in politics face a lot of violence, but they keep quiet, and also for the sexual abuse victim, it is time to speak up. The women have politics right. Protected by the institution, without looking at your background. But it is an opportunity for us in this 16 days campaign, anti-violence against women, public and also government understand the form of violence against women in politics, so that the policy that they produce from this this parliament can have a human right perspective that care about women, gender equality, and also that the policy can be fair and equal to all Indonesia people. Thank you. Thank you. Because I was asking, are we going to have a slideshow? Because actually I prepared a presentation because I was given 10 minutes and I tried to, because we said that 3 minutes prologue, right? So this is actually will show quite complete the form of violence and also the condition in Indonesia right now in term of gender inequality, because it's contribute in the women in politics. Because please let me know if the time is, we have to add the time. So now we just a little bit before we continue. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be with all of us. Well, if we talk about women in politics or violence against women in politics, especially for me, women with disabilities, the issue of violence against women in politics is women with disability going into politics. Of course, we have more challenging when we talk about women in politics, because first we will face underestimate in certain cases, and also we face what we call several things that may be, if we describe one by one, it will be very long. But the point is, it has to have a political will from the parties, from the government to support women that have more challenges than women in general. Of course, we have to talk together, we discuss, because women with disability, of course, have the right to elect and to be elected, so that even though we many times asked for the disability issues to our activists, but we are sure that one day women with disability and disability issue will receive a better portion when we talk about politics. Thank you. So we are not only talk about women, but also in the context of various background, and that we will talk about inclusivity, and what we hope it can also help. So it's two ways to help to reduce the number of violence, but also to help so that to bring more policies to fight this violence against women. Malulu, as one of the leaders, the important leaders to put the draft of the law that we are quite waiting for. There are two things that become the witness of the fight. Malulu, please share with us. Thank you, Mbak Sarah, ladies and gentlemen, because this is first 3 minutes. We just try to build commitment that violence against women in any kind of form have to be stopped, and specifically that violence against women in politics, it's something that's real. Oftentimes we don't realize that there are several forms of violence can be experienced by politician, women politician, or election and candidate and parties and political elite also oftentimes experience violence, even sexual abuse. I think with this kind of forum, it will become an awareness forum for public that maybe this is one of the most top barrier for women so to achieve to come to parliament. Maybe that violence against women, including the sexual harassment and also bad image, discriminative imagery, and also stereotype that will prevent more women to have the guts to come to politics. I think this is a very important meeting for us. Please give a round of applause for the spirit of women in parliaments. And now the one and only handsome one on this stage. Please, Bang Willie, to give your perspective especially actually that we used to hear about this from women, but we would like to hear from men on the about this violence against women.
Thank you, Salas. This is not about men and women, but we are talking about a perspective, a standpoint, our attitude, or of how not to act, not indiscriminative, and also to have a perspective on gender equality, and also uh, to give a liberation. The liberation uh, doesn't consider gender, doesn't talk about who is being freed and who is also being uh, displaced or eliminated. Mrs. Dia, Mrs. Dia is my friend since high school. Well, you wanna tell a story, a high school story here? No. Yeah, he's the friend, yeah, who fight together in this in a same party. But here the party is irrelevant. But whoever is taking the leadership, our country is a great country. We have had a women's president. We have a women's house speaker. So gender equality in politics and it's different. We already have female women foreign foreign affairs ministry. Who knows? Doesn't know Saras. These are the great women. My point is, our narration, our discussion, or discourse on this great woman, we have to put it in the right framework. And now we look at the discussion on that woman. Uh, then, if this sexual violence is still become a homework, and now that the pass of the bill into a law, that is a success for us for our fight, and it is the reflection of our uh, yeah, of our society, the reflection, and we from in the House of Representatives continue to fight to be equal in for women. We are not being discriminative. If you look at our track record, so my point is that today we together, the parliament and the society and civil society, we need to build a narration, a discourse, and also inform that we already have great women, we have already great law, and Indonesia can be a benchmark and also become a good practice for other countries. So Indonesia must be proud and internationally because we have achieved so many things. We have achieved a lot of achievements, including approving the violence violence on women's bill into the law. When you talk about so you talk about basic things, and this is liberation. So basically, we are human. This is not about just men or women. Not about that difference. Human should be free or liberated and free from discrimination. I have one more follow-up question, but let's hear first from what Mrs. Olivia say. Maybe which is just to put our same in the same perspective on the term of violence, because I'm sure there are a lot of definitions about violence, and I'm sure you have prepared. But maybe can you just say in a few words, briefly, quickly, within 5 or 8 minutes regarding the definition? Well, yes. Maybe we can start to page 9.
But before we go to page 9, as International Indonesia actually is on the ninth rank for the gender inequality in all over the world. So this is about the definition of violence against women. To look at the UN Women and UNDP, talk that all violence against women in politics is all action or threat or physical violence or sexual or psychologist that prevent women to do and follow their political right and other human rights, whether it is in public or private space, including the right to elect or to be elected and to hold a public and also to campaign and to gather together in freedom, and also to the violence against women can be physically, and sexual and economy. Physic can be murdered, kidnapping, and also physically, psychologically can be character. And also sexual abuse, and most of the time our pictures was being harassed publicly because of pornography or sexuality. They used that, but it was being used by our political part opposition, and also for the campaign is not for the public property being stolen, this is also violence against women in economy for politics. So we need to know, and it's actually happened. All politicians who also succeeded in entering the parliament or the head of a region, they faced this form of violence. And what about the victim? The victim of this is not only a politician, but also the one who take care of the party, and even families of the candidate can also become the victim, and all the women activists, the media who support the candidate can also become the victim. Who is the person who do that? It can be on offline and also online. Now our life is close to online world, and this is quite high, the risk, whether it is private or public, and our colleague also can become the one who do that, and also even the one to elect us, even our family who have different choice to us, they can also do that. So in our daily life as the victim, but also we are so close with the people who do that. So women is more vulnerable because they are close with, if it's women is young, then they will talk about is it possible for her to lead, or for those who come from certain tribe, because they are not the majority, then it become some discussion, or not become from the majority religion. So the women is very much many of the vulnerable, because they are women. Is it possible for women to work politically, because they have to go home late, and violence and all of the things. Now, this is something that we need to know, because we see it as something usual, and actually it is a violence against women in politics. From that, that's why I want to ask about this. I would like to do a little bit survey, because if we talk about data, especially if we talk about data of violence against women, whether it is or any kind of violence, actually, I saw a survey, but it's very low, because our expectation is a little bit different. Do they know that what they experience is actually a form of violence? Because they only being seduced, so they said that is something common. So they comment on the pictures is something common. And when they walk, someone call on of them. It's something that normal. When once in a one forum, one woman said that she is very much welcome if someone call out on her. So I would like to do a little bit of survey here. I want to see, because we talk about women, excuse me, to the gentlemen who are here, that focus all for the woman here, also in Zoom. Raise your hand if you ever experience, whether it is abuse, violence, bullying in any kind of form, whether it is the character assassination, even being asked, what about your house condition? Well, actually, the male candidate never being asked like that. So, in any kind of form of violence or intimidation or abuse, whether it's sexually or abuse or mental, whoever experienced like that, please raise your hand. So, we don't know, we don't need to use data, whereas oftentimes the survey is will not cover all. The one who never experienced, I salute you. That is great. Oh, you experienced that, but you did not raise your hand. It's different because this is much worse. They did not. She did not raise their hand. Even in this kind of forum, there are people who did not raise their hand because so maybe in the survey they did not acknowledge when we do FGD. Maybe they don't they did not admit. So this is we talk about data sampling directly to Balulu. When we talk about data, Balulu, this is one of biggest challenge in making the policy from experience, and I believe that when we try to fight this, the draft of a law, how many we have words being asked, how many experience this? So I know that Malulu before tried to implement that there will be a system that able to receive complaint, because I believe that even in any parties, women will face that. So before the data, maybe how we cannot step away, but we don't want to ignore the data, but how we can still fight even though the data was minimum. Yeah, Masara, thank you. We talk about data. So one of the problem in our country is, first, the data is relatively unreliable. There are no single data that reliable and also considered credible. Right now we have BPS, but we also know that between BPS and other related ministry actually have different data, whether it is food, crisis, rice, especially for violence, that is not easy. So not all people can be surveyed and can openly say that admit their violent situation. So there is a theory that we can rely that violence is like an iceberg. What we can see or we can calculate or we can count, actually below the surface is much more bigger, the one that we cannot see. One time when we praise God, we was asked by Pak Willie to come to go to Brazil, because Brazil have a very good achievement with the law. They said that 6 months after the law, their national agency right away they received 15 million complaint. Before it's only 600 to 800,000. But once there is a system that allow the women or victim to be able to speak up and they being guaranteed and protected, then it opened a Pandora box. 15 million victims have the brave, they have the guts to report. In Indonesia, we still hope that the data, right now the source is only from Komnas Perempuan, then from Ministry of PPA. But actually the data is also different. So between those two ministries that have the same mandate to protect women, they actually have different data. So I'm going to quote a little bit the data that was released by IBO, but I believe that this data is not represent all. They said that from the survey that they did in 2016, for example, from parliament in all over the world, 80% of the women member in parliament globally, they experience violence, psychologist violence, as mentioned by Mbak Sarah, and also based on the definition and the concept that was presented by the Komnas Perempuan. So start from was being underestimated, looked down upon is 80%, and 20% actually they also experience that, but they don't say it. So we can say that more than 80%, that is our condition. So the violence, psychologist violence, on 80%. Then one from five women also experience violence, sexual violence in workplace or parliament in various form, from just being called out, was look at the leg, the breast, even physically they experience attack. Far before I become the DPR, I also hear that in building, several people also did sexual abuse in their room. Some staffs and personal assistant, they've been contract 2 to 3 months and then done. They also experience sexual abuse in this place. Even the parliament member also face the sexual abuse from the low until the heavy case in other room by their colleagues, whether in from their parties or outside parties, and including the staff in this parliament. This is very interesting, and still related with the IPU survey that one of three women also experience economic violence. So if they would want to run to politics, more, the husband will say, it's your business, I don't want to help. If you want to fight and become the candidate, find your own money, use your own power, I don't know how. And some of them actually then being stopped from given money by the husband because they still firm to choose political ways. And one of four women also experience physical abuse, not only in parliament or their political parties, but also in their home. Not many of the women chose to be a divorce, but the sad things, we then blame them that as if because they become the member of parliament, then they deserve to be divorced by the husband, and they are considered a woman that not a role model, and they are blamed by the society because you're from DPR, right? You're a politician, right? Your marriage you will destroy your marriage. That's the things that women faced in several violence dimension, and there are some thousand of cases that in electoral violence that was recorded by IPUE from several countries. Last year, my husband worked in the KBP. Right now, he doesn't work there anymore. He recorded violence cases that, in my opinion, part of the politic violence because it was done and experienced by candidate, the parliament member or electoral people. The one that recorded was 200 cases. Only one book. There are other books that waiting. So it means that violence against women, especially in politics, in my opinion, the number is actually the same with the number of sexual abuse. It's a huge number. Not only how many, because only one is actually already too much for us. So it's important. So in my opinion, the one that we need to say to you that violence against women at the end, what is the goal? Actually, they target women to exclude women from the possibility to participate in political life and to limit freedom of expression. Women become have no guts to speak up. Don't go above me because I'm your leader. Who are you if it's in DPR? At the end of the day, some of my friends, when I asked at that time, what is the position for the draft of the law? Let me check my leaders. Am I allowed to speak? That's to limit the freedom of expression. Next, to control and to stop women from accessing power and to silence them or to make them silence, and also to limit their women perspective in in developing their public policy. This is more dangerous. So the violence will have a serious impact from the possibility of women increase the number in parliament, but also the bad consequences that we lose a momentum to get women perspective in the for policy formulation, so at the end of the day the policy or law will be biased and also will be vulnerable for discrimination and also will is not longer inclusive. Why? Because we ignore women's voice. And in 2024 I spoke with Badia. If the situation, we don't take care of the situation seriously, there is no prevention system in all political parties and also in parliament and also public awareness, then women representative, I'm afraid, will not add, but even it decrease. So this lead to, I want to go back to Bagiasari because we talk about that actually our efforts that we talk about is to fight the law like this, the law for this sexual abuse, against sexual abuse, because we protect not only women but also men. For all people, this is something that was misinterpreted, but however, the reality based on data, whether it is iceberg or not, whether it is shown or not, we know that there are many who experience this are women. So maybe Mbak Agiasari, as the future parliament member who are going to bring a new color, because there is a worry that if we don't take care of this seriously, then the number will decline. So Mangyasari, if we talk about discrimination or violence against women, it's not only doubled, maybe even tripled and quadrupled, right? What you said, when you fall down and then you was so you are being beaten up and being cheered up. So Magyasari, maybe you can share a little bit about what you experience personally or what you can see around you, and what is your hope, your expectation as part of the woman who try to go into politics. What is your hope between entering and also the hope from what already happening in DPR, all the shareholder, and give example and also the hope. Thank you, Ibu Saras.
Thank you. Well, actually, in 2018 and 2019, I already made a campaign for 2019 for Nasdem party as well. It was interesting. I think about the obstacles on disability perspective. The obstacles were actually different kinds. There are so many things. There were stairs, there were durian fruits, and there were also a duck. So a duck. So I think I've been actually rejected because I represent minorities, and a female with disability, can she do it? And characters assassinations have been also been tried, especially by other women, because although we women, women expect to support each other, but the fact is that there are women out there who made the character assassination, and this is something that I experienced, and it was really really hurt. So my perspective to support other women must be really made as our real principle. So if I can say, if I may give my opinion on how the disabilities or inclusive issues to be included in the political system, we need to have the bravery. We need to be bold in making a set of efforts as part of investment. So I don't mean that maybe it's not in my lifetime that women or people with disability will be represented in parliament, but maybe it can be continued by others. But so we need someone, people, community, who understand about these issues, disability issues, the female women in the parliament issue, and this understanding is very minimum. And only few women with disability who achieve the higher education. The, their number is very, very, very small. I just returned from Central Sulawesi near Poso city, and I can see with my own eyes that the access there was not available. I would cry, and I really said, and there were no access at all for people with disability. How can one to educate the nation if there are no education for this women? So when we talk about the norms that women, quote unquote, to be put the women in its place, this is something that we need to change. So, so women's in domestic role needs to be extended beyond their normal daily role. We now also, as women, or also ask to play our role domestically and so on. And these roles actually needs to be shared with our partner, the husband in this case. And but though so far, this role was exclusively for women, and people with disability even have more stigma. And I don't. Maybe it will take a whole day to speak and talk about this list. It's gonna be a long list, but what I can feel that is that people with disability suffers more than other women, especially in politics, because it's very, very, very limited. And it was what happened to me, and people in the Nasdem party have been very accommodating for me and fighting for this. So I think the efforts by people with disability who is now in other parties need to give their more. And you know, for example, during the campaign, they were promised with many supports to get this assistance, that assistance, but in reality, there were nothing. And and this was only happened during the election, but there were no attention given after the election. So I think this time for us to invest in the human resources, the real human resources. So giving assistance is not just giving foods or day-to-day needs like tobacco. Hey, you're talking with off topics. Well, that's the intention. Yes. So because this is what we have done. This is what I have done year in, year out. So I think it's about time for us to do something different. So before maybe they give us the fish, now it's time for us to give how to take the fish. So this is something that giving further assistance and support is what we need to do now. And this encouragement and support will give the efforts by the people with disability to be a more meaningful effort. Thank you. And we earlier talked about the challenge you face as a women with different backgrounds. Well, actually, multi-spectrum. You mentioned about the stair, durian fruit, and then also the water drain. That drain. So it's multiple challenges, and it's actually a day-to-day challenges. So it's something that you face now. I want to ask you, as a woman, you are a man with the equality perspective, a man with the non-discriminative, with having a perspective equity. What is your challenge? What are the challenges has been so far for you, especially in this outstanding building, to actually pass the bills within or having this kind of perspective? Maybe, yeah. But my question is from a male perspective, with who support the women to voice out their opinion, and to women to encourage the women, and also and helping the passage of the bill on violence, women's violence. And as like Mrs. say, investment. What kind of investment that we need to do? It's not just giving present these days. So what kind of real investment that we need to do? And what is the challenge that you have? And maybe the obstacles you have faced so far. So anybody also, those who wants to ask question in this room and also in Zoom, we'll give you the opportunity for that later on. And please prepare from now.
For me first, not to support. The standpoint is actually to fight together. Let's give a round of applause. So it's fight together, not to support from behind, but together we fight, we work together. So I am not a supporter. I am not a facilitator. No, but I have the record, if you can see, for the equality. So now I understand why you become the best friend of Ibu Dia Pitaloka. So it's different. Second, this is actually, if we only talk about the number, process of the number, or 30, then even if you do a big demonstration, the great media expose after the law is actually already built something, but the root of the problem is a class of civilization. Class of civilization. We face with one patriarchy. So me and my friends who fight for that, the one that more difficult is not about this or this, no, but what more difficult is rather we cannot do that to women. We cannot seduce women then. So there is a masculinity that lost. So as if it's equivalent, right? It's the same with masculinity. It's a symbols, patriarchy. Our problem in violence or gender equality is actually a feudalism that really the expression is patriarchy. So that maybe that's what we need to change. The law is only one issue. What is our problem? Our problem after this is not only on law, but on the implementation. I was taught by Dia when I was studying how to educate people with movement, educate the the government with fight, but we have to fight. But at the end of, but also at the other part, we have to educate the people. How to educate? This is our debate before. I'm the one who don't believe in education. But literacy is different. Education and literacy is different. Literacy is complete package. What is literacy? Is writing, reading, discussion, so that the output will be a critical thinking tradition. Not only the critical thinking, but critical atmosphere. So that process that we need to establish, we need to start with this law then, Mbak Saras, how to make test and simulation in all schools for this for the sex abuse and gender equality. Why? Because we have to build a civilization that is equal. So that's what we do. I got this story from Cinta Laura when she entered a college in the United States, because they have Latin people, Asian, is internationally various. So this is allowed or not allowed? Because I'm from Minang, I can do this. Masara from Javanese must not do that. Malulu from East Java like this. So we have a common ethic. That's what we need exercise. We need to do a long simulation. So after this is how Kakak Lulu, beloved Lulu, Kakak Lulu, because we fight together. Ibu Dia, Honorable Ibu Dia, and all of our college. We still have a lot of work to do on how to build this simulation on schools, so that we can produce a civilized generation. And secondly, because now we have people here, together here, we have commitment to that the budget for the ministry will not be the same with NGO. That's our commitment. There is Gerindra, there is Nasdem, there is Pdi Perjuangan, there is PKB. This is big parties. So let us together talk about budget, and we don't give small budget. So we commit to that together, so that we can do big things. Why? We have to say, Masaras, our friend in NGO have the tendencies. What I say, change. I issue change of donor. Once they focus on for sex abuse, and they change, and we still talk about that. So the support of nation budget is very important. So that's what most important, on how the budget can manifest in our the works of the ministries. If we want a little bit more progressive, we move not about empowerment. Yes. So if we don't talk about empowerment. It's about women and children. Well, the last I want to close with the problem of the law of the sexual abuse. Since beginning, there is two hope. There is a victim perspective. Secondly, is the police and officials. Until today, the promise to make a directorate for protection for women and children not yet established. So I hope that until this is 16 days, right? So in Tibet we can cross commission from commission to third commission, 10 commission, call police and talk, invite them to this kind of forum, so that this kind of forum, because of when we make the law, they already know. So don't just cut, because the culture is different, the spirit is different. So don't make that this one is very uh, spirited, but then the other part is just slow, because we cannot blame each other. So the context is to 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 try to start. This is our responsibility. This is our country. Let us fix this together. Great. So we already talked about challenges, and once again, I'm going to prepare if we have question from the floor and from the Zoom. Because of the patriarchy perspective is still there, but we can also solve this. There is actually one key, not only regulation but also investment, and we talk about budget, whereas we hope that it can change the system, because if we have something in our head and also on paper but not supported with budget cross sectors, then it will still be difficult for us to implement that. So now I'm going to open 1 2 questions. Please, one here. Please give the mic, committee. Please, there is one lady with white shirt. There is this one. Do you have? Is there any other question? Only one. Okay. Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum. All the speakers. And also Ibu Rayu Saraswati. My name is Dinar from Gerindra. In Gerindra, we have a women and children analysis group. I am one of them. My question, before we go to question, please allow me to share a little bit that in this office, I myself face several violence, abuse, physically and verbally, to myself. But I cannot talk more about that. My question is, I would like to talk about the women participation in politics. Is there a law that they said that 30%? But in my opinion, please correct me if I'm wrong. Instead of it's become a law to protect women, but it's actually in election. Period, 30% is not yet achieved. So as instead of become the support of women, it become just a promise that never been fulfilled. Is there any political system or electoral system or law that make this 30% not only talk about quota but also to sit in Senayan? So it is true that 30% will be achieved. So maybe this is specific to Mr. Willy as Palek. Is it possible to do that? And secondly, related to ministries, I think the Ministry of PPI, they have low budget, and not only talk about nomenclature, but because the law only said that Kemen PPI is only class C ministry. Maybe we can change that. Thank you, because we would like to do that, but that's the problem. Thank you. So that's what I want to say. Thank you from Dinar. Pa Willy, please respond from Zoom. Committee, maybe there's someone who would like to ask question. I will give them a chance. Dinar, it has open recovers. Is it possible? Yes. But we have in 2005 or 2004 or 2005, there was a debate, qualitative debate in Kompas Daily between Mas Pramono Anung and Budiman Sujatmiko about representative. Politics always talk about representative. Why workers have no representative? Why farmer don't have? Then why women also choose men? That's the problem. So the problem, if we talk about representative, we are in a public culture that is very, because in 2019-2024 we already revised electoral law. There is an idea on national election. I am the secretary of Bapilu. They have to campaign from Sabang to Merauke And also there is also the chairman that run for the position. So for, can you imagine the chairman and the vice chairman only fight for their own electoral, because they do campaign from Sabang to Merauke. There is it's a trap, right? Saras like this, the one who developed the party, she has to campaign from Sabang to Merauke, or DKI 1 or DKI 3, or you only made Sahroni or FND Simbolon. Please don't do that. You have to campaign from Sabang to Merauke, right? So so we talk about process one. When will we have limit? Because politics always talk about consensus. So before the common consensus, we must not be trapped in conspiration with other groups. We have to have a dialogue. What is the most important point? First, what I said, and second is what you said. Is it only 30%? We say it fixed. Then if that happen, then it's the same. It's just a consensus. It's not something that difficult. But once again, because we are too much empiric. So before the rule was open, now is closed. Now is open. So there is no dialogue process and also research base. So now China already talk about scientific approach. So we have to think to correspondent to look at the past. So then we can use that. So the law must to be made by scientific approach. So now, as I said, for the dynamic of 30%, I am in Balik task force. One draft of the DPR initiative law is 100 billion. Yes. There's 10 billion. I propose that 10% scientific approach so that the research organization can live if it's talk about electability or only. So the survey organization or research qualitative organization. So there are many things that we need to discuss, but it's about dialogue. Like this is good. So not only Saras, who's activists like us, we have to have space, dialogue space intensive to raise the progressive policies. Secondly, as Dinar said about budget, there's a more nomenclature. Yes, we agreed that the policy makers. So we make new tasks, especially with KIA or the woman or husband or wife leave because of pregnancies. We need to do the white revolution. I was talk about Prabowo, even though so that is what we need to fight. We don't see on how, but what, for who. So we have to move together. Not one party is not enough. One or two person is not yet enough. We have to we have to go hand in hand to solve this. Give a round of applause. Thank you. I think there is one question from Zoom. No, there's no, because of the time is very limited. So later we will give a chance opportunity for the next session, but please forgive us because of the time limit. I will give 5 words, 5 phrases to close. What is your hope? So don't be too long. 5 phrases, sentences. So there is one question in Zoom. So the committee a little bit make a little bit mistakes. From Zoom, we will give one question. I know because I know there is one who give me a sign that there is two person who ask question. Maybe one of them have to.
So they are now processing it. Now you can start now. Now about the closing statements or remarks about this, and so to eliminate the violation uh, on women's in politics must start from home, from family, and it should involve the community, the leaders, community leaders, the youth leaders. It is a joint effort. This is a joint movement because violence on women in politics is also women is also violence on women in a general scale and not only limited to member of parliament but also to voters, families, candidates, the families of candidates, the political parties, the management of the parties, and the communities need to work and to support to end the violence on women in politics. Well, that has been great, solid closing statement. Now we have one question from Zoom. Now I will let them to go ahead and ask. I apologize. I don't think I hear the audio. It's. Can you please unmute her? Well, please make it short. We don't have much time. Yeah, peace be upon us all. Assalamualaikum. Yes, I can hear you now. We can hear you now. Yeah, thank you. Just right to the question, to the time. My name is Apriliati from the Indonesian Women's Parliamentary Caucus from Lampung. I really appreciate our event activity this morning. This is the good moment. We are entering the year of politics. One question first on violence on women in politics, physical, psychological, sexual, and economics violence. I see there are some inequality here or unfairness here in the law, especially in the general election law regarding the organizer of the general committee, like Bawaslu, the representative of women in the regional electoral threshold or quota. This quota of 13% has never been actually fulfilled. So I think we need to revise this general election law. But we just go. We have to revise it, not only by considering 30%, but it's like there are some obligatory that it must achieve 30%, not only just verbally on paper. It's just in view of or considering 30% threshold or limit, but it should be obligation. And also regarding the passage of the violence on women and girls, law number 12 2021. I think we need we are waiting for the follow up because we need to follow it up in the regions on this, and just input on considering the increase of a budget allocation for women's department or empowerment of women and women and child. We want also to touch the ask the attention from the political leaders that the allocation of the budget from the party, they need to allocate 30% for the education of the women's political leaders. I think that thank you, walaikum salam. I think it's quite hit us and the requirements for 30%, but the organizer of the Bawaslu cannot achieve 30%. I think it's not consistent here, inconsistency here. And I think we have one more questions. Uh, and also one proposal. I think we have noted that, and the chairmen of the Indonesian Women Parliamentary Caucus have taken notes. This is my chairman from the president's from the IVPC, Mrs. Kanti. Yeah, and I apologize. I still having a light flu. I cannot come. I don't want to spread this. But thank you. I cannot come. Thank you for the caucus. I think it's been amazing work, and also other party, the UN Women, WKD. I think we need to do more of these activities, more of the same, please, because we're talking about politics and how to educate about how the policies are being made. And we need to target this event for new voters. We need to do it in like high schools, the campus, and we need to do more of the same with bigger audience. I also want to take note here that in Indonesia, in our law regulation, there are no written discrimination. But hearing from what you have said, Mrs. Lulu, regarding the forms of abuse in politics and those who are active in politics, I think I'm sure you have heard about. This is not about because of the law is discriminative, but for my opinion, is lies in the cultural obstacles or problems. This creates discrimination, and fighting these cultural issues or needs to be done carefully because everyone has different culture backgrounds. And for women in politics, now that the identity politic is on the rise, where we always been attacked from the way we look, the way we speak, the our belief. I think this has been very, very disturbing, and because it happened to me. And again, regarding back to the education on improve the awareness of fighting women's violence on women and discrimination. I think we need to go start more. We need to involve the school and also to have an inclusive education, and where need to see education not as a potential the victims, and also we need to do that also the education that needs to be done in the view of the perpetrator. Thank you for me now. I think we need to do more like this, not only technical on how to vote and so on, but I think similar discussion, similar activity. If we want to do it more in schools, in campus, I think more and more young voters, women who wants to join in the parliament later. I think yes, we got the idea. Let's give a round of applause for all of the ideas and your perspective. I think we need to make further efforts, maybe like a road show. We go to universities, to high schools, and so on. Okay, now we're back to Mrs. Anggia Sari as a closing statement again. Yes, when we talk about violence on women in politics, within my perspective, again, regarding disability, it is actually a new issue. Women and with disability in politics, I think this is just something that we heard only recently, something that becomes the issue where we need to tackle this together. I think this is a good start that we stop with the dialogues, with the expectation that they will be followed up by the parties and also through the system, who that can actually giving assurance and social safety for women with disability to express themselves either in the personal space or in the public domains space. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Angyasari. Now, Mrs. Luli. Well, yes, thank you, Miss Sarah, colleagues, friends. I want to underline that now the violence on women in politics, we cannot take it for granted or taking it as a normal as part. This is that it is something normal in politics. It is abnormal, so it cannot be formalized. All kinds of forms of violence, whatever it is, physical, non-physical, psychological, even up to sexual violence, must be taken as a violence that is violating the principle of human rights, the violation of our constitutional rights, and this is something that we need to fight together. And providing a safe and convenient space for women to continue forward and involve and participate in politics is also important. So I think these efforts need to change, needs to be done through political parties, because political parties need to provide the safe space for women. The party must really be sure and strict that women can nominate themselves, and also they need to remove the practice of intimidation. This year is the way where we want to recruit our candidates, and the political violence, I'm sure, will happen. And so far I have received so many complaints or grievances from different parties. They are where they voice out their concern that they are afraid of sacrificing their career, that they don't want to sacrifice their body. So I think this is something important, the urgent matters that we need to tackle together. So I think it is critical for us to build a culture, a more civilized culture where not only in the parliament, in the public space, and also at home, because violence on women at home is happen anywhere. It starts from home and back to home. There was a cycle, there was a vicious cycle, and they will need to cut it somewhere else. And also interventions, if no intervention made elsewhere, the same will happen again. I think all kinds of intervention involving international networks like UN, WFDA, as a form of efforts to increase the awareness. I think this kind of intervention needs to be made on a joint as a joint effort. So, yeah. So that was second and the third. Yeah. Well, the IWPC, the Indonesian Women for Women's Parliament, who have given a long story, have a long story to give opportunity for women in politics. Now I think we need to. It's time for us to make to have some kind of a grievances center where they can also make a report, or in case of the violence, or they have their rights are limited, or we are being excluded from the politics. I think yes, ready. Yeah, okay, Mr. Willie. Before we go to you, we have a guest, our guest through Zoom, our High Excellency Ambassador from Kuwait. So she's really far from Kuwait. Mrs. Lena, you are in Kuwait, right? Yes, Mrs. Sarah, thank you. Joined since 5 a.m. this morning. Well, amazing. Thank you. Yeah, my highest appreciation for you. Just quickly for you, I'm sure because we also have the guests, a lot of guests here in the embassy office. Assalamualaikum, good morning, good evening, greetings. Just quickly appreciate to the Indonesian Women Caucus, Parliament in Caucus, and also Mrs. Willie, and our chair in Parliament. I think from what we always heard, when we always studied, and this is something thing that we have done so far. But the fight to achieve the 30% of women representative in parliament is not something that will happen overnight. So I think we need to continue to follow up, and you know that we have started this fight since the reform, the beginning of the reform. So we need to prepare the human resources, the women human resources, before we actually fight for 30%. I think this is a long fight. This is a marathon. This is not something that will happen overnight. I remember when we prepared the general bill. We started with she for she and then he for he now. I really support what you mentioned earlier, Mrs. Willie, that the effort, the fight to fight for women's representative in 30% needs to be followed by campaign and also be followed up by together. And should be now that we have sufficient representative, we need to make should be a joint effort. And based on the best practices, any efforts must receive full support from the others, including the male. So, Mr. Willie, the most important now is in the upstream. We are not fixing, but making the political parties as a gender-sensitive parties. That's on the upstream, because all policies in the national level is actually driven by the political parties. They determine the national policies. So we start from there, from the upstream, the political parties. I hope that Mrs. Sarah, Mrs. Dea, we can have a follow-up meeting after this, and we decide and strategize on how to continue and support these efforts to represent women in 30%, because one among three will be followed by one among two. So from the semi-zipper system to a full zipper system. So our objective is that we're aiming for full block shift, where 30% will be guaranteed in the parliament, and including those the women in disability. Because when I was in the parliament, we also discussed about the bill on public services, Mrs. Sarah, and then the other we talk about the bill on disability instability. I think we should not stop working. We need to continue fight. It should go on. It should continue. And my colleagues in Parliament, I think Alec, and also the other male partners, we actually, you have all us historically, because we, the activists who fought for women representative in the Parliament, have been achieved. I'm speaking far away from Kuwait here, but we have 12 women ambassador, and also 4 women admission head of missions. We also do the 16 days campaigns, and also worldwide. I'm sure that I'm far from here, from Kuwait, but we can work hand in hand and fighting to ensure that the women's representative in Parliament, you know, in ombudsman, 9 chairs, and then there were 1 representative on women could not made it to the parliament because of lack of support, lack of I think yeah, we need to make sure and continue this effort to make sure that gender-based violence can be continued. Thank you. Peace be upon us all. Thank you, Mrs. Lena. Thank you for all the ambassadors, our Madam Ambassador for Indonesian for Kuwait. I think last but not least, Mr. Willie. Thank you, Sarah, Mrs. Lena. Greetings from the homeland. Well, maybe if I go there to watch the World Cup, I can stop by. Well, friends, we hope that there's a law that can solve and also the law that can actually cure can all ailments. These are actually only a tool. What we need to build is literation, awareness. So civil society, business society, all these need to collaborate to build the literation. The because the consistency is will create the outcome. So the input is our joint efforts and movements, and law is only a pillar to achieve that. Thank you. Well, it's short but very thick, but also useful. I'm sure we have received a lot of additional values, additional notes, something that we can take home. So we need to walk hand in hand, working together to create situations of conditions, environment that actually friendly, a political world that is friendly not only to men but also to women, whether it is a person with disability or basically inclusive for Indonesia, better Indonesia, and all of this must start from its leaders. Thank you for the parliamentary action in the 16 days of anti-violence against women campaigns. I would like to thank you everyone for your participation, and that will conclude the event. Thank you. Let's have another photo session. Again, so I would like to thank the speakers, Mrs. Lulu Nur Hamida, Mrs. Anggia Budiariati, Mrs. Olivia, Mrs. Holidia, and Willie Aditya. Let's have another photos. Let's take another pictures with the moderator and speakers. Give your biggest smile. Look at the camera, 3, 2, 1. And show your 5 fingers greetings of anti-violence. The parliamentary action, the 16 days of anti-violence against women campaign. Thank you again to all speakers, Mrs. Lulu Nur Hamida, Mrs. Anggia Sari Pujati, Mrs. Olivia Hodija, and Mr. Willie Aditya, and our moderator, Mrs. Rahayu Saraswati. Thank you once again. It's been yeah, I see that you are still full of spirit. We'll have a short break. So for those who wants to pray, afternoon prayer, so we'll continue with the next session. But for those who wants to take the lunch, or we want to drink, let's have a lunch in VIP. We will have a closing remark, and there is still have another session also after that. So as a closing for our event this morning, I would like to invite the Honorable, the Indonesia, the country representative of WFD, Westminster Foundation, Mr. Agus Wijayanto. Let's give a round of applause. Westminster Foundation for Democracy, WFD, Mr. Agus Wijayanto. Thank you, Honorable the Indonesian Women's Parliamentary Caucus, Mrs. Secretary General is here, and also a representative from UN Women, and also my colleagues, the representative from the embassies from the one Canada. WFD is currently performing a program with the swap from the Canada. I think we have heard so many things. I don't think we need to reiterate or underline, repeat, but today, 2 hours, we are reflecting on the importance of this movement, regarding what the importance of what we have done, and also we have witnessed the commitment from all the factions in the House of Representatives. They made the declaration. But the most important is for us is now how we can actually ensure that you, the member of the House of Representatives, or the politician, the head in the parties, that the fight is not over with the declaration, but realizing it, putting it in place is another. Mr. Willie will not be facilitator. Will let us, the WFD, become the facilitator. But we will continue our commitment to contribute to ensure that what we are declaring, we declared today by the parliaments and also in the party's leadership will be moving towards that direction. I'm sure that that our colleagues from the International Development Assistance from different embassies can also become part of that movement efforts. Thank you. Congratulations for the declaration. And also thank you for the collaboration. The hard work is not over, and I'm sure this is something that will continue. Then for that, I will conclude our event today. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Agus Wijayanto, for the country representative of Westminster Foundation for Democracy. Thank you for the very warm closing remarks. However, those who are still online or those who are still offline, we are not over yet, so don't go anywhere, because after this, we'll still have another second session of the discussion where we will have the dialogue on public sharing the discussion about the fund for the victim. So we will return by 25 minutes past 1 p.m. to continue. As I said earlier, for those who wants to give your donate, and please go to the booth in the back of our chairs. So I don't think it's complete without updating it in the social media. So behind the stage, there is, please let's and announce and this parliamentary action of 16 days of anti-violence against women. And I know you are active in the social media. Share that and also donate. And we have a donation booth in the back. So go ahead. So for those who wants to enjoy your lunch and take your goodie bags, please take it in the registration table in the back. And also to get your food and beverage and also your bag. We will be back at 25 minutes past 1 to start with our next session, public sharing perception about victim support fund. My name is Tia Yustia. I would like to thank you for all coming, for those who come directly here online and also here or offline and online on parliamentary actions, 16 days of anti-violence against women in politics campaign.